Aloha kako, everyone. Welcome to this movie battleground. We've got a really good fight for you today because these competitors are amazing, incredible, and both their names start with the letter A, and clearly that's the way to go. So we've got our competitors here. We've got Aaron, as he goes by sometimes, and we've got Asher. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be a very fascinating battle. I'm glad I don't have to do it by myself. I've got two distinct judges with me in this go round. I've got the J, the B to the 3. We're going to go to him and see how he's feeling to hear these two combatants go at it. JB3, where are you? I know you're somewhere. There you are. How you feeling, brother? How you feel like this?
Long time since I have judged a debate match. I am ready. My ears have been itching. They have been itching to listen to some prime debating on TMG. So I'm excited and I'm happy to be here. And I'm telling you, just like I say every time, debaters, you better bring it.
Ooh, that's what I like. That's what we like. We like a judge with some itchy ears. He'll get some fungal cream for that later. But you guys got to bring that good debate to make his ear holes feel pretty good. Another person who has some ear holes behind this amazing, incredible, one of the best beards in the judging game. That is Madi. Madi, how you doing, sir? Oh, look at that thing.
I do have ear holes. Yeah, they're not behind the beard. They're on the side. JB, if you do have an itch on your ears, Dr. Spaceman did mention the fungal cream. I'm sure we can discuss that later. But I am excited, not because my ears are itchy. I got them checked last week. But let's see what Aaron and Asher. I didn't know it was pronounced Aaron, but let's see Aaron and Asher get this debate going.
Excellent. He's got that fungal cream for you right behind his beard dye. Come on, you got no pepper in there at all, no salt in there at all. It's just all dark and beautiful. Look at that beard, man.
I'm half your age, I think.
I believe that probably is so.
No, I got some cheese sticks on this side. I got a pizza on that side, and the fungal cream is. I'll dig through and find it for you. Don't worry. It'll take me a while, but I'll find it.
I'm sure you'll find it in there somewhere. All right, now those are our judges for today, and we've got our competitors. We've got Aaron or Aaron, as he's known sometimes. How you feeling, sir?
My name for the day says it. I'm back finally, literally since the day I came back to do whatever I get bitched around and told to do now. I've been telling Zubrath, man, put me in a match. And then I shot Matt a text and I got put in a match. And no, I'm taking shots. No, it's exciting to be back, man. I created this shit. And one of the things that I was regretted about the first time I was here was I never got to compete as much as I wanted to. There were a lot of instances where situations led to a competitor having, or to someone not being able to show up on the host or judging side of it. And so I would have to step in and we'd get a different competitor. So I'm excited to just be here to play. No stress except, winning this match.
Nice. And we get this backstory into this whole thing, how it began and how he ended up here today to fight his competitor, which is Asher. Asher, what you got, brother? You happy to be here? You excited to be here? What's going on with you?
You know it, Doctor. And by the way, yeah, my ears aren't itchy either, so I'm ready to compete. Yeah, you can tell by my name that my name is Asher. And I'm back too, and I'm ready to face Aaron, who, I'm going to say it right now, he's a great competitor. He's awesome. You can tell that I'm ready because also the screen you can see on these reflections, so I'm going to take the glasses off. But I'm ready to compete. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to win. Let's do this.
Can you put them back on when I was still studying, if you don't mind? Can I?
Asher looks like my uncle from the 70s.
Hey, man. Let's get that shag carpeting in here, man.
Oh, no. He's about to jump into a van with a dog and start solving mysteries. All right. So here we are. That's right. Here we are with our movie battleground. You guys know this debate. You know the rules. We've got our 90-second opening. We've got our 5-minute debate and our 60-second closing. Of course, both competitors have the option for that extra minute extension should they want to use that. Just remember to remind us before you use it so we're not cutting you off too early. And if anything gets out of hand, you know, I got to call a timeout, put you guys in your corners, cool you out a little bit. But you guys are both gentlemen. You know how it works. You'll be fine. All right. So if we're ready, we're going to start with and remind me whose comic book movies is our first question. Whose strength was that?
That was
mine.
That was yours. It took him a second. He's been going through a lot, studying for this debate. So with comic book movies, that's our first category. All right. And the question is, what comic book that has not been made into a film yet should be made into one? So what comic book? There's been a plethora. Now you like that word? Plethora of comic book films. There's been a lot that haven't been made yet. So which comic book that hasn't been made into a film yet needs that big budget film? Aaron, your 90 seconds begins as soon as you give us your answer.
Okay. So the choice that I went with is a comic book by the name of Black Hole. To give you the basic setup for it, it's a comic that is set in Seattle in the mid-1970s, and it focuses on majority a cast of teenagers, with its two main protagonists being a character named Chris, who is a popular female student at the local high school, and Keith, who is another student at the high school who is a quiet stoner suffering from anxiety. And they're two separate stories that feature a lot of crossover in the reality of what is being set up. And what the story revolves around is this STD that is being transmitted between these teens called the bug. And what it does is when you contract the bug, it causes you to begin physically mutating, and it essentially leads you to becoming a social outcast. And throughout the course of the story, we begin seeing these teenagers leaving their lives behind, setting up their own societies on the outskirts of the city, and trying to begin to adapt to the new kind of challenges that they've been handed in life. The reason that I think this would make a great adaptation is because it's something different than we've seen. We've seen a lot of different types of comic book movies, and while this is very reminiscent of other types of films, specifically the X-Men films with the mutated powers, this is a harder R, and I think that this would lead to a very interesting adaptation that would give us a new twist on something we all love.
And your time. Woo, look at that, coming right on time. Excellent work. Wow. All right, this is pretty interesting. I've got a lot of comic book knowledge up in this noggin, because of my many, many years on this planet. But that one, I must have missed. I'm not quite sure about that one, but interesting. As long as you give me the director I'm thinking that should handle this film, that might serve you well. All right, so we've got our answer from Aaron. Asher, what say you? Which comic book is getting that big budget film?
Well, I'm going to tell you a comic book that I think would be fantastic. It's Nightwing. I mean, he hasn't been made into a live action character yet, at least on film, feature film. And I think it would be really important to put him in that role. Of course, he is the youngest of the acrobats family known as the Flying Graysons. And after his parents are murdered by a mafia boss, he gets taken under Batman's wing to become the new Robin. And along that, he works with the Teen Titans and he fights crime and all that. But I actually want to focus on a specific aspect. All beyond that, he then works in Bloodhaven, which is the sister town to Gotham. And he starts cleaning up crime in there. And I think it would be a perfect area to talk about how he fights crime and a flashback story to how he became the man he is today. And I have a great director and a great actor to choose, but that's my story. I think Nightwing would be amazing to make into a comic book movie, a live action feature. It hasn't been done yet, and I'm excited to see it.
All right, and then he conceded his time, I'm assuming, yes?
Yes, I
right.
definitely did.
There you go. Just a reminder to both competitors, and I didn't say it up top, but if you choose to concede, just let us know you're conceding so we're not waiting all day. All right, good work, gentlemen. These are two interesting choices, and your 5 minutes to duke it out starts as soon as the first person starts talking.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
I'll open the floor. Why not?
Okay, so I just think, listen, I like all your picks today except for one. So I'm just going to go out there immediately and say politely that your picks are good, but I do not think that The Black Hole would make a good adaptation, specifically because I think it's an incredibly dark movie that would be happening. I read the plot of the books. It seems just extremely dark and viscerally like brutal, and I don't really know what your audience would be for that. It just seems very grotesque and like creature featurey, but also a coming of age movie, and I don't really know how that would transform itself onto the silver screen. So that's one of my main gripes.
I just realized my mic was up. I don't think it affects me too much, but the reason that I say this would make a great adaptation now is because, as I said before, it is the most reminiscent of the X-Men films in that it is very much about physical powers, physical mutation, the fitting into a normal society. And the first X-Men came out in 2000, which was 20 years ago now. So we are in a place where we have people who were like myself, actually, I'll put myself out there, who were born around when that first film came out and have grown up with the X-Men films and seen different types of comic stories like that focus on mutation and that trying to fit into normal life. And so I think going very viscerally dark like this with a story that is written in such a way that it parallels to a teenager growing up and finding their place in the world, and the physical mutations are a kind of a allegory or comparison for like the changes that a person would go through. I actually do think it has a place in that, and also its mature content would fit in more with what people like, because I think we've seen dark films come out and do very successful, and I do think what you're saying, the creature feature stuff like that has come out and been very successful. And so I think a lot of the people who would be interested in something like this have reached an age now where this is the next evolution of the things they've grown up and seeing, and this would relate to them more now than watching the big mighty superhero fight and trying to relate to that.
I get that, but also, the New Mutants just came out. I feel like that's kind of what you're describing. I feel like that's kind of one of the movies. Maybe I got the title wrong, but the one with Anya Taylor-Joy and like about the X-Men who are like in an asylum or something. Yeah, and I feel like that's Sorry,
I was going to say, as someone who has seen New Mutants already, New Mutants doesn't even come close to going there. The first thing being that I'm cutting out. Oh, wait, nope.
You're good. You're good. You're good. I can hear you.
I'm frozen. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. You guys are okay. You can still hear me. Okay, I'll keep going. Sure. New Mutants is a movie that doesn't, and this is not to criticize New Mutants necessarily, it doesn't really commit to anything. What this is a horrific feature where these kids are struggling and trying to grow up. The other reason that I think that this would be potentially a good adaptation to kind of take it somewhere is it's a book that has had a lot of people kind of have a crack and give a go at it. And it's like you said, it is something that would be hard to adapt, but more and more we are seeing stories that become harder to adapt become adapted. I have the list here. Filmmakers and writers like comic writer Neil Gaiman, Pulp Fiction writer Roger Avery, director Alexander Aja, most recently director Rick Famuyiwa, and the one who I think would actually be a good choice to take on the story, director and writer David Fincher, are all different people who have taken a crack at this story. And I certainly think if they could get it there, that it would make a movie for people to watch. I want to shift it back just because we do have the 1 minute to your thing. My biggest problem with a Nightwing movie is I think anything that we could do with Nightwing, I know it wasn't a great adaptation, but we have already seen his origin story done on screen or a version of it. But to me, Nightwing is a very close character to Batman, not even just in that he's in the Batman universe, but in terms of how he is portrayed a lot, how he is written, the fact that he is literally the spawn of Batman in that character sense. I just feel like there's nothing new that we could get out of it. I don't see why it's something that necessitates a adaptation.
Okay, few things. First of all, your movie's in development hell. It's been made since '05. It's been announced since '05, and nothing's been done about it. Second of all, Nightwing, I think it's a great movie, has a great Uber behind it, and I think the actor behind it would be Timothy Chalamet. I think he could really have a great range in that movie, and I think an incredible director to play that role would be Alfonso Cuarón. He's done dark. He's great.
All right, there's your time. There's your 5 minutes. Woo! All right, okay. Well, interesting choices here, both of them. Good justifications for each one, but now you got to wrap it up. You got to close this case. Since we started with Aaron, we're going to go to Asher for your 60 seconds. So it begins when you do, sir.
We talked a lot about this movie, not a lot about mine. So what I'm going to tell you, brushstrokes, is that, first of all, it's in development hell. This movie is very dark. And it deals with a lot of weird things where a kid shoots up an entire, town of children at the end. That's very dark. And it's something that I just don't think is going to represent well in film. Nightwing, on the other hand, you can have a lot of great flashback scenes with, dark, circusy undertones. It will be brought to beautiful light by Alfonso Cuarón, who's done movies like, Prisoner of Azkaban and Roma, and incredible cinematography, something brought to light. Timothy Chalamet would have an incredible role in this, an incredible range. He's done stuff like The King, but he's never done anything action-wise. I think this is a movie to really show what Dick Grayson can bring to the table. I think you can have a villain like Blockbuster, a very beefy villain who can face off against while diving back into his very, very sad past life. I don't think that a movie like Black Hole is something that can be made today, because I just don't think it can rub people the right way. I think it's a David Cronenberg movie about a coming-of-age story, and I don't really think that works.
And that's your time. Whew. Okay. Aaron, wrap yours up.
Okay, first off, you're absolutely right. We did spend most of it on mine. That's my fault. I apologize for that one, equality debating and all. Look, here's simply what I will say. The reason that I don't think Nightwing necessitates adaptation right away, if we want to bring reality into this, which you talk about my movie being in development hell, yours has been development with years with the director Chris McKay, who did the Lego Batman movie. So certainly the vision that DC sees for your film is nowhere near what you're pitching. If Chris McKay is the director we're bringing in, also, I think Nightwing is way too close of a character to Batman. We've already seen his origin with the universe that DC is building. I don't think there's a realistic way that he would actually fit to it that would make sense. And I just, again, either we're going with a B-list, C-list, D-list villain, like you said, with Blockbuster, or if we're doing anything bigger, it's going to be a Batman villain. I just don't think there's enough differential to make it work. Black Hole is an extremely different comic than anything we've seen adapted recently, and I think a change like that is what the genre needs. People are constantly talking about how the MCU and Marvel is kind of stalemating the feel of the genre. I think something different, something unique, yes, it is harsher, but I think it would work.
Right on your time, right there. We had two very distinct comic adaptations to peruse over. So we're going to start with JB3. JB3, who's getting your point and why?
So yeah, obviously, like it was mentioned, the debate round was a little bit pushed to one side as far as what they were talking about. However, Asher, he got in some of what he did. It's just a lot of what he focused on was like a great actor, a great director, which is good things. But there's a lot of great actors, a lot of great directors. Aaron he really told me more of why Black Hole would work, why it would be more like the real issues. There's crossover stories. It's relatable to teens, the real life stuff. And Asher brought up a point that said, who's going to watch that? Just people, maybe it's too dark, or, you never know. It could be a big hit. I mean, look at The Dark Knight. Now, I'm not putting that into my decision or anything, The Dark Knight. I'm just spitballing there. But the point being made is that Aaron just gave me a little bit more of like a unique, like why it would be a good adaptation versus, like just a good actor or a good director. So I gave my point to Aaron.
All right, now I'll jump in here with mine. Both had a nice vision for what they wanted. Asher, you told me in the limited amount of time that you were able to tell about your film, you gave me clear, this is what it would be, this is who it is, this is who's playing it, directing it, and a really good visualization of that. But I don't think you hit Aaron enough with what the weaknesses of that could have been. Because I was thinking about, you hit it with, it could be dark, it could be something people not wanting to see, and you hit him with the school shooting or the shooting everybody at the end there. But I think there's a couple more things you could have hit a little more closer to home. I did like your New Mutants. Hey, we just kind of got this almost. But I don't think you hit him quite hard enough where it counted. So I would give mine to Aaron as well. Now that means our first point is going to go to Aaron, but a man with that on-point facial hair cannot go without speaking. So, Madi, who would have gotten your point?
Who cares? No, I actually went with Asher on this one because on the same point you guys brought up with bringing up that it was very dark and the school shooting at the end, as well as how it's kind of been in development hell for 15 years now that I think about the timeline. A lot of those points kind of stuck with me more, and it was a little bit of a one-sided, like we were talking more about Black Hole than we were Nightwing, but I just didn't hear a lot of knocking down the Nightwing movie other than, it just feels like Batman. And I'm a Batman fan, so if it feels like Batman, I'm all right with that. But so for those reasons, I picked Asher on mine. Real quick, though, Dr. Spaceman, do you think Timothée Chalamet could get the famous Nightwing ass?
Probably not.
You know the fans.
Yes. I know.
No, that's the most
Probably
important
not.
aspect of Nightwing is his ass.
That is a very important aspect of Nightwing that cannot go overlooked.
Gotta work those glues.
If he brought that in, maybe he would have got my point a little bit more. But very good arguments. We're in for a
crazy.
Yes. These next ones should prove very, very exciting. So which leads us to our second category, which is comedies. Nobody's gonna leave me hanging. There, thank you. Somebody gave me something. Thank you. Extra point for Asher, just because he didn't leave me hanging. Thank you, sir. All right.
Mine was payback.
All right, we're going to go with our question here that we will hear these debates on, and it is this. If you could have any character plan your bachelor party, who would it be and why? I like this. It's been a few years since my own bachelor party, so I'm always interested in other people's bachelor parties. So we're getting with a made-up movie character who's going to throw this for you. Oh, I'm really excited about this one. So since we started with Aaron last time, we're going to start with Asher now. So Asher, your time begins when you start talking.
So when I look at a bachelor party, and what I want in a bachelor party is the ability to do what I want and what I please. And who the person who could get me that is Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, he skipped school 9 times, actually probably 11 times, and got his way into passing high school and having an incredible day off and getting back in time to not get his parents' attention. That is an incredible thing. Ferris Bueller is an awesome person, and I will take that to the day I die. I think he's great, and what he can get you is incredible. He can get you to a parade in Chicago where he does a flash mob in the middle of nowhere. He can get you into a museum to witness some of the most cultural art you can see. If you want, he could probably even have you break into a zoo and meet the live animals. He could do anything you want because he has the charm, the charisma, and the oeuvre that you get in a best man, in a bachelor party host, in that kind of person. He can take you to a ball game. He can probably take you to a VIP section in a club. He is that kind of guy. He will treat you like a king, and he wants you to have fun. And that's what I want in a best man. That's what I want in a bachelor party host in Ferris Bueller.
And he's conceding the rest of his time. I take
yes,
it. There we go.
Yeah.
Excellent. Madi, can I ask you something?
Go ahead, Dr. Spaceman.
Did he just say oeuvre?
You know what?
He did.
I'm gonna blame it on the audio of my headphones.
Oh, you missed something beautiful. Ouvra. Ooh, that excited me right there. Okay, no pressure, Aaron. No pressure. But he did just say ouvra. Woo. All right.
I don't know if I can compete
Aaron.
with that, man. Scrap the 5. Scrap the 5.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Your time begins when you do.
Okay, so as someone who is a 20-year-old who has never been in any type of long-term relationship, if I somehow found myself in a marriage, I, first off, am going to wonder how I got there. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is enjoy myself before I effectively end my life far too early. And so that's why I'm going with the Wolf Pack from the Hangover films. Yes, I'm going with Phil, Stu, Alan, and Doug for all of 20 minutes before he ends up disappearing for the rest of the night. What these guys have is a true friendship, and that's what you want in a bachelor party. A bachelor party is supposed to be you and your best friends, and these guys bring legitimate friendship. Even in moments of high tension and anger, they still, at the end of the day, will look out and be there for each other. They also actually plan a bachelor party. The whole premise of The Hangover is that they planned a bachelor party. They had something ready to go, and their plan was one of the greatest nights ever in Vegas. And so I absolutely want to go with that experience. If I am going to throw my life away and, I don't know, end up in divorce court, because that's what happens when you get married at my age, I'm going to at least not want to remember the nights leading up to that wedding. I am having my bachelor party with the Wolf Pack, and I will concede whatever's left.
Conceded all 7 seconds. Woo.
Well done.
Man. JB3. He kind of put an accurate spin on marriage there, didn't he? Just throwing your life away. That's all it is. Just throwing it away. Right out the window. Whew.
Yeah, that's why I'm a
there
single
you go.
father now.
All right. Now, this 5 minutes is going to prove to be very, very fascinating, and we're all excited about this. So, gentlemen, take the gloves off. Duke it out. Your 5 minutes begins as soon as somebody opens a trap.
Yeah, the best night in Vegas includes me getting roofied by one of my bachelor party hosts. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be... Look at what happens to Doug. He gets roofied and then left on the hotel roof, sunburnt, in pain, and hungover, sleeping on a mattress, lost, and his friends have no idea where he is. That is not what I want.
In fairness to Alan, he attempted to buy ecstasy in order to get everyone to loosen up. It is not his fault he ended up with the world's worst drug dealer who couldn't distinguish Rufalin from ecstasy and also didn't know that Rufalin and roofies are the same thing. That is not actually Alan's fault that he got sold bad drugs.
Okay,
his attempt and intent was to loosen everyone up so that they had even more fun in Vegas.
Okay, to be fair though, in the second movie, he injected stuff into marshmallows and got everybody drugged again. So I don't really know where your excuse is for that one. I would like to say, on the behalf of Ferris Bueller, that he would get me into a lot of great things, and I'd have a great time with him, regardless of the fact that he wouldn't drug me. Like, I understand it might be a mix-up with ecstasy and Rufalin, and you have a bad drug dealer, but I'm not going to really give Alan the benefit of the doubt there. I'm not going to give Stu, this guy who is shoeholded by his girlfriend for the majority part of that movie. He doesn't want to loosen up or have fun at all. He's practically a Cameron in that situation. I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Bradley Cooper is a terrible father. So I don't really understand how these guys are leading you to a great bachelor party when the pure example of that, Doug, did not have a great bachelor party, in my opinion, if I was in his shoes.
But they know how to have fun, and that's exactly what you want. Sure, that situation went bad, but that situation only ended that way because Alan bought drugs from a bad drug dealer. If that had actually been the ecstasy that he intended to give them, they would have just had a loose night in Vegas. Everyone would have had fun at the casinos, and they would have gone back. And if you look at the end of the film, when you look at the pictures that were taken during the bachelor party, they're having the time of their life, and they have experiences during that bachelor party. You talked about Stu's, strict relationship, Stu going out and having that night and that experience is what finally opens him up to not being happy anymore. And he finally has the courage to break from that relationship. And if we want to talk about the second one, which I was avoiding like the plague, he's the one getting married to a different woman. No, it's absolutely fine because you are right. But let's switch back to your movie and not do what we did in the first round. Here's my problem with Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller spends a large amount of time in that first movie being incredibly selfish. You can look at it as him wanting to give his friends a good day, but realistically, what is happening in that film is he calls consistently all morning and bugs Cameron till he eventually goes over to his house to do the equivalent of just to get him to shut up. I'll just do it to get him to shut up. That is not the tone you want to set for fun. Also, yes, you said Ferris Bueller can get you into places, but none of that's planned. It's a bachelor party. I want there to be at least a plan in place. Ferris Bueller doesn't plan a damn thing about his day off, except as far as how to get out of being sick with his parents, which you wouldn't need to do for a bachelor party.
He planned a lot. He went to an art museum. He went to Wrigley Field.
But that's them wandering around Chicago and going into the different things. There's no exact plan there that says this is what we're going to do. And the other thing is, I'm sorry, yes, the Wolfpack have other issues in their personal life, but at the end of the day, they are a group of friends who are there for each other. Ferris Bueller is a selfish character. He doesn't actually look out for Cameron. He doesn't look out for Cameron. When Cameron tells him don't take the car, he takes the car. And the fact of the matter is, yes, in terms of the narrative structure of that film, that is what leads Cameron to have that awakening. And I realize I just used that argument for my own film, but I'll back that up with saying, if you're having a bachelor party, you're most likely not a high school student who is dealing with issues of living at home with dad. That's not your scenario. And so the very specific scenario that the film gives would not apply to someone at a bachelor party. He's a selfish friend that takes what he wants.
He's not selfish, first of all. He wants Cameron to have a good day. Cameron's dealing with a super depression, and he has been helping him for weeks now, but he can't do this anymore. He wants him to push him and get out the door. And in the end, Cameron realizes that he can face his old man and that he can face his father, and that's because of Ferris Bueller's doing. And that I stand by. And that's something that I want in a bachelor party host. Somebody who's able to get you out there and really let you experience the world. And
that's your time. That's your time. Good battle. Good duking it out. I liked it. We spent equal time on both films. You learn from your past mistakes, both of you. Since we started with Asher, our last 60 is going to go to wrap up your case here, is going to go to Aaron. So, sir, when you're ready, your time will begin when you do.
At the end of the day, what I want in a bachelor party is fun. And I think the Wolfpack presents the best opportunity for me to have fun in that type of a scenario. They're a group of guys that exemplify real friendship, and they work together to make sure that at the end of the day, they're all having fun. Yeah, Alan made a mistake, but it's the intent that matters. And in a real scenario, you know, I have friends that are drug savvy. I know my shit. I'm not letting Alan buy Rooflin. I'm going to go with him. And so that's the thing, is it's a group of guys who all know to have fun together. Ferris Bueller has good intent towards him, maybe, but at the end of the day, Cameron, you know, he does what he wants. He goes where he wants. He pushes people into doing things. He takes what he wants. He charms his way into things without actually having a plan in place. And if I'm having a bachelor party, I want to at least know what I'm doing. I don't want to show up on the Vegas Strip and just be like, fuck it. I'll concede.
And you conceded right at the time. So good work on that. Just to clarify, you know, we in no way endorse roofies here, especially guys named Alan. No endorsing. All right. Just got to throw that out there. Asher, when you are ready, sir, give us your close.
The Wolfpack aren't really friends. They're yelling at each other for the entirety of the movie, wondering where the hell their other friend is. It's making them sick of each other. And that's not really friendship, in my opinion. I don't find friendship the ability to yell at each other and hate each other's guts for a good hour and a half. I just don't. And I think Ferris Bueller is a good person. I do not think he's selfish. I think he's trying to help Cameron the entire time. And the plan thing, he planned his way to get out of high school, for that day. That's ridiculous to say he doesn't have a plan. He went to Wrigley Field. He went to the art museum. He put his car in, he got Cameron's car. I mean, all this stuff. He can get you nonstop bottle service, VIP attention. He can get you on whatever stage you want. He's Abe fucking Froman. He can get you anywhere you want. And first of all, I don't really even think the Wolf Pack even gives you a great day. Because in the end of the day, Stu lost a tooth. They nearly got threatened by a drug dealer, Ken Jeong. And in the second movie, a guy's finger gets cut off and they get lost.
Time. Way to wrap up the cases. Now, I'm going to go first as a guy named Alan, a good man named Alan, who doesn't make these kind of mistakes. I'm going to have to give my judgment. My point is going to go to Asher on this one. He really did not paint a good picture, and everything you tried to paint, Aaron, about the good friendship of the Wolfpack, Asher tore it down pretty quickly and gave us a lot of what Ferris could do as a bachelor party host. So I'm going to give my points to Asher. Madi, what say you? Who's getting your point and why?
First thing, are you sure, Alan, you don't ever want to do roofies? Because I know a guy, and I think it could be no. Okay, fine.
When his wife's not watching, Madi, come on.
I got you. I'll DM you later on. It's all good. What were we asking again? Oh, right. We get the point. I was in the same boat as you, man. I went with Asher just because a lot of the points he made about Ferris Bueller getting you into those places was a really positive experience. And just near the end there where you were like, they spend most of the movie yelling at each other. And I was thinking back, like, it really is just Bradley Cooper yelling and one of them complaining about why he doesn't have a tooth anymore. And they didn't even mention the fact that there's a tiger in the bathroom. Like, that part would have
I forgot
ruined my bachelor party for sure if I ever, not going to go there.
I'm cool with that.
But yeah, so just for those reasons, like just the fact that they weren't really good friends, they were just kind of there for each other just by like default almost, was the reason I went with Ferris Bueller.
And we're going to go to JB3 because, your point, it won't matter, but your opinion certainly does, sir.
This sounds like a marriage already.
It really does.
I think I painted a good picture.
I really appreciate that. It really that warms my soul for you to say that. This was a very good round. This debate. I mean, I'm talking. Both had great intros. I'm not going to be long because again, my point doesn't matter, even though my opinion does. So I'll say this: both guys, they built up their argument. They built up their choices very, very well. Asher rebuttals like that. He was taking down every argument, which only had one. He had a lot to say that was bad about Aaron's choice. Aaron did not have so much to say, and everything he did say, Asher knocked it down. So I gave it to Asher.
Asher with the clean sweep. So we've got 1-1, which will make the next two questions very, very important. And I'm real excited about the answer for this next question. We're going to go back to the 2010s, way back when we could actually go places and see each other and, not have to have hazmat suits go on. Remember those days? Oh, the good old days. Oh, wow. Now, there was a lot. We were going to movies then. Oh, and in the 2010s, there were a ton of movies released. But I want to know from both y'all, what was the best film released in the 2010s? The best film released in the 2010s. We started with Asher. Aaron, who's going to go first on this one? Asher. Oh, and it'll be Aaron again. So Aaron, what was your best film of the 2010s? Your time will start when you do, sir.
All right. So the answer for me when I saw this question was pretty up up forward and simple. The answer I went with was Inside Out. To me, a movie that commemorates the best film of the decade is a movie that I feel has to have specifically a lot going for it. And one of the things that Inside Out had going for it, first off, it is a 4-quadrant movie, which Asher's answer isn't. It's a movie that I think both genders, all age groups, it is a movie that anyone can watch and enjoy and get something out of, whereas I would say Asher's is definitely not kid-friendly offwards. The other thing that Inside Out has going for it is that it was the start of a bit of a rejuvenation for Pixar. You know, Pixar hit it real high with Up and then Toy Story 3, both getting Academy Award nominations, and then had fallen off. Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, Good Dinosaur, which did come out slightly after, but was in most development beforehand, all were far weaker. Inside Out to me is a film that not only overcame the downward slope that Pixar was on, but it's a movie that I think it's their best. Obviously, I think it's the best of the 2010s. And I think its biggest thing is it's a movie about emotion that plays every ounce of emotion perfectly. We've seen movies attempt to do something like this, whether it's something with the body like Osmosis Jones or other different movies like this that attempt to go for I'll just concede. Yeah, I'll go in the main round. It's fine.
And right on it. Wow. That threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that. That. That's exciting. These 5 minutes will be interesting, especially depending on what my brother Asher has to say. So, Asher, your time begins when you do.
I think Aaron's completely right. I think a movie for the decade has to encapsulate a lot and has to have a lot going for it. And that's why I chose 2019's Parasite. I think it is the best movie of the 2010s for a variety of reasons. But one of the main reasons I want to go into right now is I think it discusses something severely important in today's time. And that is that capitalism, and especially the class system in the world, is a problem. It is a very big problem, so big that it takes it on its head right here and shows that families like the Kims have to fight their way up and fight their way towards even working class, even the lowest rung, just to get out of the basement. And I think that's a very important thing, especially in today's climate, especially in a world where people are losing their jobs because of the pandemic. I think it's very important that we have a movie like this. And I think this is a movie of the 2010s because it does that. And I think this is a movie of the 2010s because it's also a movie that really shows that international film should be respected and acknowledged and welcomed. And I'm very happy that it won Best Picture at the Oscars because it shows that it gives it that. It's an incredible movie with great cinematography, great thrills, great chills, fantastic acting, great score work. It is perfect across the board, and I'm sorry that it doesn't fit the 4-quadrant mold. I think it speaks well beyond its years and well beyond what it has to bring to the. I think it's an incredible movie, and yeah, we're gonna get into it, but I think it's awesome.
And that's your time. You couldn't get more different than these two choices. You really couldn't. This is exciting. This is what Movie Battleground is all about. So step into the 5-minute arena. Gentlemen, let's get it on.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go first because I think a big portion of your argument in what makes Parasite the best film of the decade is talking about the relevancy of its message. And I actually think that's one of the issues that I have with the film. Not that its message is bad or anything, because I think there is a lot to it. But the problem for me is the message and the attempt at delivering the message creates a flaw within the writing for me. The Kims are a family that are, as you said, on the lowest ring of kind of the society in Seoul, Korea, and they are, having to consistently reach and grasp and grime and work their way up. And that's what the film is showing you as they attempt to infiltrate into the parks and, kind of work their way up within working for their family to gain leverage in the world. But here's the problem. This family that is, put on the bottom, they work folding boxes, they're seemingly, before the film starts, destined to be at the bottom forever, are a film that all of a sudden have a son who can speak good enough English that they can just sit in and start teaching English. They have a daughter who's great at art. They have parents that can start subbing in and working higher class jobs perfectly, can just sit in. It creates an issue within the movie where if they can do these things so well and they can work these jobs so easily, why haven't they done it? If they have a son who can speak English good enough that he can tutor, he can slip in the way they do present it in the movie and tutor just so easily and make it seem so believable, why haven't they done this before? Why are they still
Because
stuck
they
on the bottom?
have.
Why haven't they made the attempt?
You've heard the father mention and the mother mention multiple times how they've done jobs and they've been fired from them because the shops have closed down. Like, they've put their work in and they continue to put their work in. It's just a matter of, like, I don't really see that as a really big argument because they have tried in the past and they've fallen, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. That's why they have to fight this other working class family and oust these people out, because it's survival of the fittest when you put it in a classist society like this. Now, as for Inside Out, I would say it's a good movie. Overall, it's very important. I can see why you're talking about it like that. But I would like to say that its depiction of how people think is pretty surface level. And I get that's why it's talking to kids, and I get that's why it's trying to reach out to them. But I think as a movie as a whole, it doesn't deal with the bigger stakes that come in society and come as a human being. I think a lot of people suffer from mental illnesses and depression. And I think if it dealt with that a little bit more than just the sadness arc, I think it would have been a lot better. I think it could have done a lot more than just her leaving, moving, and then dealing with her move, and then running away. I think it could have had like serious repercussions, serious things that were going on besides just the blanket statement. This is what this emotion feels, and this is what this emotion pushes onto this character.
I see where you're coming from with that, and my response to that would be, it's not just that it's a film made for kids, it's a film whose protagonist is an 11-year-old. I think the film does exactly what you're talking about in terms of deeper emotion, but it does it very subtly. When we look at the few situations where we get to see inside the parent's head, in the child's head, joy is the main emotion controlling the console, which is the idea that kids are mostly happy unless situations create a reason for them to be sad. But when we look at the mother and the father, the mother's main controller is sadness and the father's main controller is anger. And even though it is very subtle, because again, it is a kid's film, they are not going to dive completely in, I think the subtleties of things like that are answering exactly what you're saying. It's these brief glimpses of when you really start to think about it, you go, wait, her head is controlled by sadness. What is that saying about her? And she's in a situation where she's now being moved across the country. Everything's going wrong. Her husband's constantly leaving for work now while she's in a new area trying to care for her daughter. Of course, her head is being dominated and controlled by sadness. He's being controlled by anger. What does that say about him when we see the two parents constantly arguing the whole time? I think what you're looking for is there. I just think it's very subtle. But the thing is, it is from the point of view of an 11-year-old. And so a kid moving across the country and leaving everything they know behind, of course, would be the thing that tears them apart and starts to set in some sort of depression. And I think it does do everything that you're saying it doesn't. It just does it on a much more subtle level. Like, obviously, the main message that they're going for is I'm seeing the counter and it threw me off.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, I just
That's
think
your
that,
time. That's your time.
really?
That was
Wow.
it. Yes, I know. You guys got way too heady up in there and were too smart for your own good, but it was very, very fascinating. You guys are too good at this. So wrap it on up with that 60. All right. We're going to start with Asher since we started
Can I
with
use my
Aaron.
minute?
You sure can.
Okay.
So you're going to use that minute. You're going to get that extra time. All right. So when you're ready, sir, your time will begin when you do.
So when I think what Aaron's trying to talk about in Inside Out is important, but at the same time, I really do think that it is a surface issue genre, or a surface issue that they're trying to deal with, and I don't think that it resonates with a larger audience. I don't. And that's kind of the drawback with animation, because as much as animation is fantastic and great and awesome, it does not provide the realm of possibilities that it can possibly bring to a wider audience. There are going to be adults out there who just don't want to see it because it's animation. And that's sad. And that's not because of the fault necessarily of the situation, but that's just what it is. Now, for Parasite, I did talk about how capitalism is the main crux of it. But if you want to go deeper, this movie works on so many levels. It is crazy. It works on the level of how great the cinematography is, how great the story is. It goes an hour in where these characters finally reach their peak and finally are like, we had a plan, we set to it, we got there. And then everything, all the brakes come off, and it's like they're fighting for their lives in this crazy thriller with these pseudonyms, and they're living a false life, and they're hiding under a table, watching their masters, watching their employers sit there. It's a crazy movie. The Easter eggs in this, how the symbolism provides the idea of false hope, real hope, wealth, and the overall subject of this, the overall meaning is the ability to say that they had a plan, they thought it would work, and you think in a world where you have a plan and it will work, it sometimes doesn't happen. And the father, Mr. Kim, said, that's it, I have no plan. He's out of options. He's out of options. And sometimes in this world, it's a sad truth, but it's a really important thing to bring up. There are people in this world who don't have that. There are people in this world that are trying to make the climb. And that's what Parasite brings you. It brings you this thriller. It brings you this ability that you want to climb out of the basement just to get one higher rung to fight back and survive. And that's kind of what this is.
All right. That's your time, sir. You used every second of it and used it well. Now, Aaron.
I wanna.
Are you gonna go with your 60?
Yeah.
Activation. All right, so your 2 minutes begins when you do.
Okay, obviously to try and argue the themes and nature of both these films that have a lot of themes to them is a very hard thing to do in what equates to about 8 minutes in total. So I'm going to try and cram as much in here as possible. While I do think that Parasite is a good film, and in terms of the technical aspects, I can't disagree with you. It is a very well-made film. I think it's a film whose themes and message resonate, especially now because of what the world is going through at the moment. But I think when we look back in the future and when everything is more recovered, I think it's a movie whose themes will still resonate, but I don't think it resonates as well as Inside Out. Inside Out is a movie that is dealing, yes, it is more basic than other films, but it's because you're doing it through a kid's eye view, and so of course it's going to be a more basic, rudimentary version of the emotion. It's dealing with depression. What you are seeing is the character of Riley falling apart emotionally. She loses everything she loves. She begins losing the connection that she had with her family when she was up there. She struggles to fit into a new place and find her place, and we are seeing the internal animated design behind that, and it's dealing with so many different things, whether it's leaving everything that you've loved behind and adapting to change, with dealing with the idea of having to grow up and leaving your childhood behind, which is personified entirely in the character of Bing Bong, and the fact that in order for, you know, happiness and sadness and her core emotions to get back, Bing Bong, childhood, imagination are things that have to be left behind in order for her to advance and mature and grow as a person, is an incredibly deep message that is done in a very, when you think about it in terms of that, it's very subtle what they do in terms of just leaving and killing Bing Bong, but it's a movie that gets you. It is a movie that talks about emotions to the very core. It does it in some of the most subtle ways that you will ever see in film, and it is a movie that talks about emotions, that makes you feel emotion, and that's why I think it is the best film of the decade.
And you used up every second of your 2 minutes as well.
Right,
I have one thing to say about this. Bring them back in. Bring these judges in, because I'm super glad I don't have to go first on this one. This was too good. This is rough. This is really rough. Madi, we going to you first, man. I know. I hate to see those wrinkles on your face, mess up that beard, but Yeah, it's on you, sir.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna just talk, and hopefully I make a decision by the end of this. So you guys both really brought it, especially in the close, like the extra 2 minutes that you guys had, and you guys both used that extra minute really fantastically well. And personally, I felt this argument ended up being more of what is the more important film that was released to watch, rather than an argument of what is the best film. But you guys kind of did bring in a lot of points that kind of work for both, which is good. And okay, so here's the thing. In the end, I'm gonna go with Aaron, and it's because you brought in the idea of, yeah, it's relevant right now because we're going through this whole year of 2020 and everything that is brought upon us, but it's not necessarily going to be something that might also be relevant in like 10, 15, 20 years if we ever get out of this. Whereas Inside Out is a child dealing with emotion, which happens every day all across the world. So just based on that like slight point, my own opinions aside on Inside Out regard, like thrown out the window, I'm going with double Aaron.
Aaron gets the first point. JB3.
Bit of a background
Going
change.
to you. A little background change. You know, our emotions, our moods change. The color coordination.
I've gone to sadness now. This is nice.
That's right. Now
Really
you're
good
sad.
plug on there, Aaron. I see what you.
He's subtle.
Do we want to break for a second to?
No, I like that.
Let's keep going.
Keep rolling.
Just keep going.
JB3.
Let Stu Breath try and edit this out.
Exactly. He can do it himself.
Color
All right,
correction.
JB3. What you got? Who gets your point?
So this part's getting edited out?
No. Keep going.
No, keep going.
We're
You're
not
good.
JB3 out. Don't worry about it.
Curse. No. So, yeah, this is a really, really close round. When it came to the realism, like the real issues and the real life things and the arguments back and forth, why, whichever ones wasn't or whichever ones was, there was one simple thing after everything was said and done that barely inched it to who I chose, and it's the word universal. How this movie will be loved by everyone versus not loved by, like a certain group. So now it could have been argued, but it was a very close argument. So the little detail, like Madi said, it just has to push it over because, it's a really, really good point that, Inside Out is loved by a lot of people. And, that other movie, it might be Asher, your choice. It might be like relatable now, like Madi said. It might not later. It might not have. And this is the 2010s, so very close. Well, with Aaron,
Aaron as well. So that means Aaron gets his second big point. And since I'm the host, I'm gonna go ahead and tell my opinion, even though my point don't matter. But I was actually going the other way. I was going to go with Asher, because I think Asher just really hit how many levels that Parasite connects with people. And, like it or not, animation does hold some people back. So I think Inside Out, and Aaron told it beautifully, of how that is universal. It can be loved by everybody. But I think those themes can, quite frankly, not come into play if you don't go see it because it's animated. And I think Parasite touches a lot of different things, especially with the majority of the working class and their struggles, and everybody can relate to that more so, I think, than other aspects, because some people can't even remember their childhood and choose to forget their childhood. And, watching an animated film about that might bring up some stuff they don't want to deal with. So I think I would have gone with Asher on there. But since I went last, it goes 2-1. So we've got 2 points for Aaron and 1 point for Asher. So that makes this last question big, because either we're going to put the crown on Aaron's head or we're going to go to the speed round, depending. So this will be fun and exciting. We're going to go away from comedies. We're going to go to dramas. Dramas. We're going to talk a little bit about a director, because Todd Phillips, master of comedies, did a lot of comedic movies, and he went from comedies to directing a drama, little drama about some clown guy. But with Todd Phillips going from directing comedies to directing a drama and having a lot of success, what comedic director would you like to see direct a drama film or a dramatic film? So we started with Aaron last time, so we're going to start with Asher. So Asher, which normally comedic director would you like to see a drama from? And your time will begin when you do, my friend.
Well, I think when you're looking for a director to take a spin, especially a comedic director to take a spin on drama, I think it's really important to see what they've delved into in their comedies. And what this man has delved into in his comedies, for the most part, has been a working class background of working class people dealing with working class things, dealing with real life issues. And that's Mike Judge. Mike Judge made Beavis and Butthead back in the day, and then he made King of the Hill. And then he went on to do, some live action stuff. He directed Office Space, which is regarded as one of the best comedies of all time. He ended up directing and writing Silicon Valley, which is a huge thing, a huge working class movie, especially in today's modern technological age. And then he's done working class movies with Extract. He's done stuff like this. And I think that Mike Judge is kind of the person to be a touchstone director who can deal with these issues of a working class man who is going about his life and dealing with the trials and tribulations of trying to make the next paycheck, working paycheck to paycheck job, trying to provide dinner for the family, trying to have a roof over your head, and do it with some notes of comedy, but mainly he can do sad. I think he really can. He's basically done it with Office Space, but there was laughs in it. So I think Mike Judge is a perfect guy who can spin from comedy to drama. And I'll tell you more as we get into it, but I think he can, with pretty good actors by his side working close to him. Mike Judge, great director, great dramatic director.
So we got Mike Judge in one corner, and which director is going to be in the other corner? That'll be up to Aaron to tell us. So Aaron, who you choosing? And your time begins when you do.
All right, well, unfortunately, I've made this an unfair gang fight because technically I have gone with a directing duo. The directors that I've chosen are Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Now, the reason that I went with them is because I feel like, despite the fact that a majority of their career has been spent in either animation or live-action comedy, I believe that Phil Lord and Chris Miller, in every single one of their films, and I have examples from every single one of their films, bring a dramatic element that works to each and every one. They have touched on all sorts of topics, whether it be family relations, whether it be brotherly, friendship, love, sibling relationships, whether it be, finding your place in the world and finding who you are as a person and living up to someone's legacy. And whether it be being the hero that everyone expects you to be. They have touched on a lot of different topics in a lot of different movies. And while doing it, they have also consistently brought laughs and humor and good writing and great characters to these films. And I think a lot of these elements would transition well into a lot of dramas, because I think a lot of dramas that we have seen over the last few years that have been incredibly successful are dramas that do carry some comedy with them. They carry those types of familial relationship elements. They are comedies that bring good characters with good actors getting good performances out of them. And Lord and Miller have done that for years in comedy, and I think they could very easily transition into drama.
Using every second. Excellent work. Wow, you brought a duo to a single O. Single O, that's a word. Yeah, it is now. So we got these two directors used to comedies, now moving over to dramas. So let's add a little drama of our own. Let's have you guys duke it out for 5 minutes. The time begins as soon as the first person speaks.
Mike Judge has what it takes to make a drama. I wholeheartedly believe that. I honestly think movies like Office Space and Idiocracy, for that matter, deal with a lot of issues that should be talked about today. But they have sprinkles of comedy in there, and they're considered comedies. So I mean, I think he could take a complete different spin on one of those working class era things that a lot of people would deal with right now and would resonate with a lot of people. Maybe a few tinges of comedy in there to lighten the mood at some point, but ultimately really hampered down on the idea of a man working paycheck to paycheck to provide food for his family. And ultimately, maybe, he loses his job and has to deal with a job market. Maybe he deals with being on welfare. Maybe he has to go to the soup kitchen. Maybe he has to really do something really drastic and really sad. But ultimately, he's an ultimately optimistic person who really tried to look on the bright side from time to time. I think that's something that Mike Judge can really put into his writing and really put into his directing.
This is my biggest problem with Mike Judge is I feel like you are correct in that all three of Mike Judge's live action films have been an attempt at focusing on, the working class man fitting into whatever societal or personal issue he is dealing with. One of the biggest things about making a successful drama, I feel, comes in filmmaking quality, which I actually think is something that Mike Judge had fall apart during the entirety of his career. Office Space is a good movie, yes, and I think I'm not going to refute that. I think it does what you're saying it does exactly as you would describe it. It definitely focuses on the working man and the issues, and it brings comedic and dramatic elements. But Idiocracy is a movie that it fails to find any kind of balance. And I realize that it is a comedy first, but it doesn't give me faith with Mike Judge going into a drama with that type of experience, because it deals with what is a big issue on a very, very, very surface level, and it's doing it while going with these big, outrageous characters, none of which I think are bringing performances. And I think Extract is even a fall further. Extract is exactly what we would want in a Mike Judge drama. It's more dramatic than his other films. It is about a small-time guy dealing with a small-time business, and he has a lot of really good actors on hand. He has Jason Bateman, he has Ben Affleck, he has J.K. Simmons, he has Clifton Collins. She's hit or miss, but Mila Kunis can be a good actress when she's directed well as well. And that movie is a movie that falls entirely flat. It fails to find any kind of balance in comedy or drama, and it just creates these awkward situations that you just kind of spend the movie flopping through. And that movie is so borderline comedy drama, that I don't think him shifting to the other side of the line would make any sort of difference. I think we would get something closer to that.
I think Idiocracy is a fantastic movie, honestly. I think its depiction of what our world's coming to in 2006 is really great. The idea to believe, your opinions over facts, the idea to not trust science, the idea to just go with whatever somebody says, and then you have a president. I'm not going to get into that, but I think it's a perfect.
That's timely.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's a perfect depiction of what could come in the world, and I think he's kind of clairvoyant for what he had in that. I think Mike Judge would be great in this situation. And filmmaking-wise, I think Silicon Valley is really well directed and really well spaced out in its writing. I think it's really clever and really good, and also the cinematography is pretty decent. So I think it's a good movie, or a good show. As for Lord and Miller, I gotta just bring this up. Solo. They didn't work well with others. It's not really in their range to really work well with others. They do some grandiose stuff, and I think the movies that you have on that list, some of them are pretty decent. But I think the Jump Street series really is just a meta parody, and that's about it. Like, I don't see it beyond that. I don't see really any elements of emotion or hope in it. I just feel it's a lot of a meta parody. And I also just think that the idea behind them going into Solo, trying to make like a really serious take on Han Solo with a few comedic elements, fell flat because they couldn't work with other people. So you really think that they're going to work well on a drama now?
So here's what I'm going to get into. Solo is a very specific situation, and I don't think it actually applies because Solo isn't entirely their film. Disney's been very open about the fact that they reshot a lot of that movie, and it's not that they didn't work well with others. It's an issue of Lawrence Kasdan was very particular about his script. Lord and Miller, being comedy directors, thought it would be good to try and open it up to other things and ad-lib. And if you see interviews that any of the actors actually did, they enjoyed working with Lord and Miller. So that's a very, very specific situation where one writer had an issue with them. And I'll just wait for my closing to bring it at this point. Okay. Yeah.
All right, your time is up, gentlemen. And these closings, yeah, you gotta finish up here. You gotta close this out. Very interesting stuff so far. We started with Asher, so we're starting our closing with a Ron. So, sir, you only got your 60 because you already used your extension. So when you're ready, your time begins when you do.
Okay, so since it was the last movie that he brought up, I'll start with the Jump Street films. Yes, while the Jump Street films are parody films in and of themselves, and the characters that are written for the film, I absolutely think they bring dramatic elements. In the first Jump Street, the most dramatic character in the script is the character of Eric, played by Dave Franco, who is a character at the start of the film, looks like this kind of, obviously he's nerdy and he's smart, but he's stone-faced, he's a drug dealer, he's all these things, and throughout the course of the film, as things start to unravel, we start to see him transform into just the scared high school kid that you would believe he is when you look at him. And I think they bring a complexity with that while also hinting at the relationship he has with his family. It's just, again, because it's a comedy that comes with jokes. I also think over the course of both films, we see a very complicated and brotherly love relationship that developed between Schmidt and Jenko. And I think despite the fact that they make the joke that the second film is just the first film, they actually develop their relationship really well. Lord and Miller do really well with their comedy and drama. They do it in every single one of their films, from their very first film with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, focusing on Flynn and his dad's relationship.
And wrap it up with some Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. As you know, I hope my dinner goes well tonight with that. Wrapping it up with that. That was really lame. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. All right, Asher, your time begins when you do.
So, three things about Lord and Miller. One, Dave Franco in that movie, the very next movie, they completely spoil his character by making prison sex jokes with Rob Riggle in the entire scene that Dave Franco's in. So that's just moot at that point. Second, they haven't traversed outside of animation besides the Jump Street series, and it's been kind of whatever. And third, I just... there was an anonymous actor who brought up that they didn't work well with their actors. So I don't really believe that. Now I'm going to paint you a picture of what a movie with Mike Judge might be. I'm going to focus on a movie of a sad day in the life story of a blue-collar worker working paycheck to paycheck, providing meals for his family, looking for work, just got fired, and he's an optimistic guy. He has a bright future. You can put Mark Duplass or Billy Crudup in this role. They'll shine in it. But he still feigns positivity after missing and failing job interview after job interview. This is a story that a lot of people have to deal with right now that resonates, and I think Mike Judge is the perfect guy to do it. The King of the Hill, Office Space, and Silicon Valley. And Idiocracy, something that's actually pretty clairvoyant to the time that we have right now.
Time. Woo! Coming right in there. Because they both had a lot to say. We're going to get rearranged here, put us back on top. We're going to go jump back to the JB3. JB3, you heard some compelling arguments. Which one of these gentlemen are going to get your point, sir?
Okay. So with everything that was argued, I felt like this was a lot like round one. I think it was a lot one-sided on what the discussions were about. But from the facts that got brought up, the person that I chose just gave a little bit more rebuttals and more answers for why their choice was a better choice with the resume. Working class, had the modern elements, and Asher really brought rebuttals, I think, that helped his case. So I gave my point to Asher.
Okay, so we got a point for Asher. Now I'm going to jump over to Madi.
Oh God!
And let's hear from you, sir.
Damn, you guys put a lot into that argument. There was so much said that it's kind of hard to pick out the points that really like sway me one way or the other, because they both brought up so much, and it was like a really great back and forth between the both of them. The way I heard it, where every point there was a rebuttal, and then there was another rebuttal or a re-rebuttal, and it kept going on and on like that. There wasn't any point that they were like that was unanswered, like he hadn't got a response for that. But like just I'm gonna go with Aaron on this one, just because the one like there's like a few minor points that I'm like, okay, he said that, and that it wasn't, I guess, as strong. Or there was a rebuttal, but it wasn't as strong as I had hoped. I guess I don't know how I'm explaining this. It's just I'm going with Aaron just because there was a few points that he said that there wasn't as strong a rebuttal as other rebuttals that were made in other circumstances. So the thing about, oh, they're not great to work with, he said, oh, multiple actors in the interviews, and then it was, oh, there's one actor anonymous, and I thought that wasn't, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not great with words right now. I'm still trying to figure out how to word it. I'm great at judging, by the way. I'm here every week.
You certainly are. You certainly are. You are an excellent judge, sir. So, but I will ding you a little bit because you made me now got to be the bad guy or the good guy. I got to be the tiebreaker here. Oh, I know I did it to you earlier. I know, tit for tat, all that kind of stuff. You guys have proven why you're in the movie battleground space, because you're really good at constructing your arguments and defending your choices and knocking down the other choice as well. This was really, really hard. Frankly, I want to see both these guys do a movie. I want to see both of these directors, all three of them, I guess, if we're doing the duo. I want to see what they would bring to it. But ultimately, I heard a little bit more about why I should see a drama from Lord and Miller, from Aaron's choice. So I'm going to give my point to Aaron, which brings us to, and your winner, Aaron, who finally came back to capture a victory here. That's not to say that Asher, you on any other day, you're the man. You brought it. You brought so much good stuff. It was just absolutely incredible. It's just Aaron squeaked this one out. So your winner, Aaron. All right, let's go to some interviews here. Let's go to Aaron first. We're going to go to our winner. Aaron, this couldn't have been easy. So let's go, man. What's up? What's up? How you feeling? You took this victory, but it was a hard one. How was it for you?
For me, I feel like first things first, no matter what I have to say, Asher, great fucking game. I mean, behind the scenes info, this match got delayed more than once in terms of recording, and it's clear that both of us took the extra time we had to make sure we were more ready than we would have been the previous time recording. And I honestly can't give Asher enough credit. Like I'm sitting here stumbling over words at times because I'm thinking about what he's saying, and it's like, shit. How do I come back to that? I honestly, I think there were good answers all around. The one round I lost was the one round where I struggled to come up with an answer. He knows that, so I was going into that one very, very ill prepared. Shit, he convinced me I was wrong during our own fight. So if I had won that, I might have actually been mad at that one. But no, look, obviously it feels good to come back. When I left Movie Battleground, I left with a 2-2 record, which, I can make all the jokes I want about creating it. But I don't like that. I want a positive record. And I'm glad that my first match back wasn't easy. Like, I don't want an easy match. I want people to bring it so that if I win, I feel like I earned it. And if I lose, then I know that I earned that as well. And Asher certainly brought that fight, man. Like, Parasite versus Inside Out, just that in and of itself is like, what a question to try and debate. seriously, that's really all I have to say. Is just good game, man. Like I feel more bad for you than I feel good for me. Like seriously, there is no ill feeling leaving this, except neither of us deserve to lose, man.
True. In a perfect world, you both be getting all the points, and we all go dance off into the sunlight. But Asher, man, you terrifying, because not only am I hosting this one, but I got a win in this movie battleground, my first one, and I probably got to face you, and I'm scared, man. You good, sir? How you feeling right now?
Well, I'm glad I keep losing because honestly, I can, I can face some newcomers like you, Alan, and yeah, I'd love to face you. But I'm not feeling great, honestly. I do feel like Aaron played a hell of a match in that one, so hats off to him. I think he was fantastic, and I'm saying I'm not feeling that great, honestly, because I missed some opportunities. I could have said some things in the first and third round that I think really would have helped, especially in the movies in the 2010s. I could have gone off on a tangent describing specifically why it's a movie of the 2010s versus a universal, it could be a watermark moment for film. It could be a time capsule film because, those are movies. And the question was movie of the 2010s. But I didn't bring that up. So that's on me. And I actually wrote down in like big letters, encapsulates 2010s next to mine, but I forgot to bring that up. And in the first one, I could have gone a lot more into also, I don't know, I had a few punching shots, like how Black Hole is like 12 books and how that could be condensed into one movie. I don't really see that, but I didn't mention it, so, it's just another one of those situations where I write too much stuff down on my notebook and I have to actually like look at what I specifically want to say. And to be honest, in the last one, I thought I won it. I honestly did. I thought Lord and Miller was the clear better winner, or the clear option on paper, but I thought I argued it better. But I will give Aaron played really well in that match and really well in that round too. I just thought I did better in that one. But I'm not going to take any credit away from what Aaron did. Aaron definitely brought it in this match, and I was just playing catch up pretty much the entire game. So hats off to him. I guess I'm ready to go to face you, Alan, or somebody. And I'd be happy to face Subrath again too.
Yeah, I like that one. I think I think we'll set that one up.
As much as Aaron says, like, I love to face competitive matches. Yeah, I can get a win. I'd be happy with a win.
Nice.
I feel like with the way our debates went today, with both of us having a round where like it definitely went more one-sided than the other. Because I'll be totally open with you. I thought I lost that last round. That's why I tried to just start spitting stuff out at the end. Because I realized and he starts doing the 10. I'm like, fuck me. But what I will say is, despite the fact that, unfortunately one of us, well, not unfortunately, I guess, one of us walks away with a win and one of us walks away with a loss, I think we can both agree that we're meeting up in a back alley and kicking the shit out of the 5-minute timer. That's not long enough for some of these debates, man.
Yeah, it's not at all.
I just want to point out, Aaron, the starter of this league, finally admits that 5 minutes is not enough.
After, it only took 4 years and 5 minutes.
4 years.
Finally admits that 5 minutes is not enough. I'm glad that we got that on tape.
Nice. Well, no one's ever gonna accuse you guys of being underprepared or not, masters of the game, because clearly you are master debaters, very much so. Now I'm so sorry. I had to do it. I had to do it. I mean, come on. They had left the whole 5 minutes. Who could say that?
Not me. I can tell you that.
Not you. Well,
what can you say? 3-teamer on that 5-minute timer?
Sorry?
Are we all kicking the crap out of the 5-minute timer?
Oh, I'll only
like
laugh
an office space.
the crap out of it, but yeah, I'll
think
go
he's
Just like
you're
an
doing
office space
awesome.
with a printer.
Awesome.
That's right. All right. Well, Madi, carry on again a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more about how you felt about this battle as a whole.
This is nuts, man. You guys are, Aaron. I remember first of all, thank you for letting me join this league like 4 years ago, and then somehow deciding, oh, this guy can judge. I don't know how this happened, but like this was a great debate. This Asher, I've judged a few of yours, and every single time I tell you this, man, like you brought it, and I thought I was this close to giving it to you on that last one, just because it is a bit of an underdog tale. Like Mike Judge isn't the top of anyone's list, if we're being completely honest. Like his own mom probably doesn't put him that high. And you debated the hell out of it, like you really did, and it was just like you brought it from down here, and it was like just like shy of it for me. But
I understand.
And also, we didn't want to hear Dr. Spaceman ask about 30 Rock in the speed round question. But no, like you guys both brought it, and it was like an absolute brilliant match. JB3, hang on, I got something for you. It's like I got that cream that you needed.
Oh,
I'll send it your way via. Well, U.S. Postal Service doesn't work now, so you know, I'll snail mail it over, so you might get it in about 6 weeks.
Oh my god!
Maybe after November.
Privately charge you.
that might be the first sight gag magic trick we've ever seen from a judge on all of these debates. So look at that. Look at that. Bringing something new to the table.
Making history.
He's breaking barriers. If I remember correctly, back in the day, Medivh made a joke so dirty they cut it and put it at the start of the episode. This was the first time.
Ooh, nice.
First cold open.
If anyone finds that clip, I ask you to share it so people can know what I was like.
Hey, pull it out your beard. Pull it out your beard.
Hey, you know,
yes, JB3, go ahead. What do you think about this whole thing?
Well, I appreciate the offer, Medivh, but I don't need it because the itch was scratched.
Look at that. Hey.
It was a great debate, like you said. I enjoyed it, and man, it did cross my mind. They need more time in the second part of this debate part. They really need that. I'm talking. I'd like to see these two go. Maybe they can deem it, in some type of Iron Man match. Give them like 10, 15 minutes of just hot debate. No other going hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really, really great. Thank you for letting me judge this. You guys are really, I'm impressed with a lot of people that judge because they care about each other's time. They care about each other's words and their space and the time that they need for talking. Like, you don't just try to hog the time because, you can debate with some people and they will try to take all the time. You guys really didn't try to. You just really needed just more time. But it was a wonderful debate. It was very close. My personal score, if you watch it. And so, like, yeah, I would have been all right with a speed round. But great job, Ron. Great job, Asher. You guys did wonderful.
Exactly right.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
Since we keep throwing it back, before we close the match out, I really have to say, I thought we were going to the speed round. I remember like a few years ago when Asher played his first match, and it did not go well, to say the least.
Wow.
And we were I remember talking after, and he was kind of like, yeah, just wasn't prepared enough and got blown out. And it was like, to see years later, like, your record genuinely does not stand for you. Like, to be 3-4 and be that good shows that you are playing exactly who you need to be, and we need to give you like 3 Subrath matches to get you where you should be.
I appreciate that, man.
No, seriously, this was
all
great,
love the
man. Shit. Yeah, all of the Subrath, if he edits this. I'm sorry. I'm shitting on him a lot, but I wouldn't be working with him.
No. Subrath is great.
In that good way. All right.
Is great, man.
Yes. This was a good match and a guarantee must watch for everybody that's in these leagues and that hopes to get into this movie battleground. This is kind of a textbook of what you need to do, the arguments you need to bring, and how you need to bring it. It's a class, basically, and you guys put on a hell of a show. So I'm going to thank my distinguished judges, JB3, Medivh. Thank you, sirs. To our competitors, we're definitely going to see you both again. Asher, we're for sure going to see you again. And, every time you're watching a film, take lots of notes because you never know when you're going to have to battle it out with somebody else. So Aloha. Have fun. Take care. Be safe out there, people.